Hey everybody, and welcome back to FSi DFS. I'm McKinley412. Hope you're all having a wonderful week as we head into Wednesday, and just a tiny 2-game slate here. Thursday, it's a very large 12-game slate. We're going to have videos for that as well, but for now, just this tiny 2-game slate. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I think, at the time of this video, are 3 away from 4,500, which is a big goal for us on our journey to 5,000. So let's just dive right in. Ottawa, biggest favorite on the slate at home, facing off against a Washington side that has looked very sluggish to start the season. And then Pittsburgh, slight road favorites going up against Detroit. Same over-under in each of the games and the same amount of juice in the over-under, slightly above 6.5. So they're expecting very similar results. In terms of projected goalkeepers, Husso for Detroit, he is already confirmed to be starting for Detroit. Everybody else is just projected at this point in time. Husso, he's had 2 starts to the season so far and has struggled in each of them. So Pittsburgh being the favorite in this game, even though Detroit's offense has looked very sharp, it kind of makes sense. I would definitely have Jari over Husso in my rankings, but tiny 2-game slate. Everybody's in play. So looking towards the line stacks, Matthew Tkachuk, Stützle, and Giroux. This is the top line for Ottawa, and they are probably going to be a very popular line as well. So if you're playing GPP, get different. Get off of this line because this is probably where a lot of the ownership's going to be. Ottawa, they're tied for the league lead so far this season in terms of goals. They've scored 13 goals in just 3 games so far, and Tkachuk and Stützle have nearly half of them. Tkachuk's got 4, Stützle's got 2, and they also have assists to go along with it. Mentioned it a little earlier. Washington's looked pretty sluggish to start the season. They're one of the oldest teams in the league, and it appears that age might be creeping up to them. If you don't want to go Giroux here, you can see he does not have power play correlation with Tkachuk or Stützle. You could go over to this guy, cheap defender, Jake Sanderson, 3.8K. This is a pretty high prospect. He is going to be a defenseman that I expect to be in the league for a very long time, and he's got some offensive potential to him as well. He is going to be on that top power play unit with Tkachuk and Stützle. If you want to go a different defender, Chychrun is, I think, their best offensive defenseman in Ottawa. He's already got 2 goals, 2 assists in just the 3 games. So I think Chychrun is 5,700. I think he's just 200 more than Giroux. Other line that I do like is going to be the second line from Pittsburgh. Not the first line from Pittsburgh. The first line is going to be Guentzel, Crosby, and Rust. I actually prefer this second line here. Much more affordable, but also they're going to be line matched against that second line of Detroit. If you don't know NHL, essentially the home team gets to decide how they want to do the matchups on the ice off of a face-off. So if there's a stop and play, they have a face-off. The road team sends out their team, their skaters, and then the home team can match it however they want. Some teams like to just match top line to top line, second line to second line. Other teams like to throw out their defensive forwards to shut down maybe the top line of the opposing away team. But Detroit's not one of those teams. They kind of match line 1 to line 1, line 2 to line 2. And the second line of Detroit has really struggled at stopping the opposing line 2 to start the season. In that only home game that they did have, it was against Tampa Bay. That second line of Tampa Bay just trounced them. Stamkos had 2 goals. Hagel had a goal himself, so that's 3. And then in their next matchup going up against New Jersey, same thing happened. They got destroyed for 2 more goals. So allowing 5 goals at even strength is not ideal at all for a single line. And then I mentioned Husso, he's really struggled to start off this season. So I do like this Smith, Malkin, and Raquel. Malkin, he leads the team in shots on net. He leads the team in points so far to start this young season. Skates on the top power play with all the other big studs. And at 6.3K, that is just far too cheap for him. Riley Smith, he's the odd man out on the power play. He skates on that second power play unit, but he is able to shoot the puck, 3, 4, possibly even 5 times in the game. 4.4K, I think it's an appropriate price tag for him, if not a little bit low. Turning towards the individual plays. it's it's a 2-game slate. I could have put everybody here, but I tried to break it down. One higher price guy in the mid tier, and then the guy in the lower tier. So Dylan Larkin, 6.6K top line for Detroit. I really like Detroit's offense to start the year here. They are shooting the puck like crazy. They're generating offense. And Larkin, it's really been revolving around him, as it has been doing so for the past handful of years. But Larkin at 6.6K, I think, is in a fine position here to do very well. Kopp, 3.3K. He is the second line center for Detroit. He's been shooting the puck a lot. He's already got 13 shots on net this season. He's hit the shot on goal bonus twice in the first 3 games. However, that is not Kopp's game. He is not a guy who's going to be shooting the puck a ton. Do not expect that moving forward here. But because he's doing it, maybe, they talk to him in the offseason and he's different system, different style of play, all that stuff kind of comes into play. Remains to be seen. But 3.3K, he's definitely in play with how much offense he has been generating. And then Norris, I have him highlighted because he is coming off the IR. Possibly. There's been no confirmation. This is the injury news that you do have to be paying attention to here today. But Josh Norris, 3.1K for Ottawa. He is one of the centers. He only played, I think, 8 games last season before just really nasty shoulder injury. But this was a guy a season before who potted 35 goals in just 66 games. That's a 40-plus goal pace. And to score 40 goals in the NHL, it happens, but you are in elite company, one of the best goal scorers in the league. So 3.1K is just way too cheap for him. As the season progresses, this salary is probably going to double, if not a little bit more. So 3.1K, if he is in, he's going to be skating on that top power play unit. That's where he was practicing on Tuesday. He was practicing with Tkachuk and Stützle on that top power play unit and Sanderson. So again, pay attention to him. If he's in, I'm locking him in. No question about it. Onto the wing, I could have gone Guentzel. I could have gone to Brincat. Both of those guys have been doing phenomenal to start the season. I already have Matthew Tkachuk over here, and Tkachuk's going to garner like all of the ownership. I think with Washington's struggles to start the year, Ovechkin's going to go a little bit under-owned, especially at this price tag, but it's Ovechkin. Like, this guy can give you a hat trick on any given night. He always has a crazy high ceiling, and it just hasn't happened yet in the 2 starts for Washington. So maybe they figure something out. Ottawa is a more, up and down the ice kind of team. They're not, really strong defensively. They're going to have those higher scoring games. So it kind of fits right into Ovechkin's wheelhouse here. So he's going to see very reduced ownership. It's a 2-game slate. He's going to see some ownership, but I still think that he could be a very solid pivot play if you do want to get off some of the chalk. Rust for 4.7K, skates on the right wing alongside Sidney Crosby on that top line. And even if this wasn't a 2-game slate, I would have interest in Rust here in this position. We talked about Detroit's struggles defensively, especially with Husso in net. And Rust, over the course of his career, like, he has shown that he can perform in opportunities on the top line, on the top power play unit. I think he's just priced a little bit too cheap. I think he was priced in the 5K range on opening night, and we had him as like a goal call, and came through for us. He had scored the opening goal for Pittsburgh on the season. So I do like Russ here at 4K. And then Raymond, he's just kind of a cheap guy that you could pair with Dylan Larkin. Carlson up top, he's going to be the guy that you'd be pairing with Rust, with Crosby, if you do want to go with that top line. I also could understand if you want to just pair Carlson with Malkin and go in that direction. Moritz Seider, 5.2K, he's again going to be the guy that you're going to be pairing with Larkin and with Raymond if you are going to be going with those Detroit stacks. And then Sanderson, already talked about him there. In terms of the special teams, these are the 2022 stats. Nothing really stands out between any of these teams. In the very, very limited sample size that we do have for 2023, Washington PK is not looking great. The Ottawa power play is looking fantastic. So all the more reason to be jumping on the train of Tkachuk and Stützle and Sanderson and Josh Norris if he's going to be playing and going on from there. So That's where it kind of all shakes out. Ottawa is going to be pretty chalky. Pittsburgh line 2 is going to be my second favorite line. It could be a nice GPP play. Pittsburgh Detroit, I think that game's going to shoot out a little bit. And then Washington's going to see the least amount of ownership. So you could get Ovechkin at probably his lowest ownership that you're going to ever get from him on a 2-game slate, just because of Washington's struggles to start the year. So that kind of covers everything. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. I really appreciate all the wonderful comments that you guys have been dropping down below. It really does make my day when I do see that positivity. So good luck in your contest, as always, and we'll see you for the big 12-game slate on Thursday.